Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Thomas Pilecki, who is a local chiropractor. And the subject matter is causes of kidney failure.
Yes.
And we only covered 2.
Right.
And you have 8 more to go?
Right, yeah. Well,
Whoa.
See, it's... okay, so kidney failure made the top 10 of reasons that people are ultimately going to die. Number 1 and 2. Number 1, by the way, September is Heart Health Awareness Month, for those of you keeping track of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Pretty much everything that I mentioned on this list also applies to heart health. Mm-hmm. Somewhere between 80 and 90% of the reasons people are going to die in this country are avoidable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely avoidable. There's somewhere between 10 and 20%, depending on which statistics you look at, by what sources, and try to sort through all of the different confounding variables and biases and things like that. But somewhere between 10 and 20% are real medical conditions that absolutely need medical management. 80% of the reasons that we're going to die is all our own choices, all our own actions, all our own behaviors, all our own just not making health a priority. And it's a little disturbing. And the problem is, people don't want to hear this message. I know so many conscientious medical doctors. I grew up around them, like you, Dr. Dorio, who are just so frustrated when they know that medicine, pharmaceuticals, is not the answer to this problem. But they try to talk to their patients about anything else, and you see the glazed look, the eyes roll over. They're not going to change their diet. They're not going to change their exercise. They're not going to change their stress patterns. They're not going to change their sleep habits. And they're really just there for, I saw the commercial on TV. It said to ask my doctor if this was right for me, and I'm here to get this. Are you going to give it to me? Because if you're not going to give it to me, I'm going to go next door to the guy who will.
Yep.
And so many medical doctors have just become disenchanted with trying to get through to the people, because they're preconditioned to believe that I don't have to do anything. I'm not responsible. All I have to do is get the right pill, and I'm coming here for that right pill. And if you don't give it to me, someone else will.
And that's right. Someone else will.
And that's foolish, though, to base your life on one pill when you should base it on your lifestyle. In my practice last year, I got to see, as I see geriatric patients, and I see them in palliative and hospice care, I see them go from healthy and to where they pass away. And the patients who I've seen who have had great lifestyles, taking care of themselves, you hope they don't get a cancer, because that's to me bad luck, but it does happen. But for those who don't, and who I have seen get older, they go into their, now I'm seeing it in their 90s. I'm all, last year with 5 women, they all had great lifestyles. They all had barely any medication other than the basic aspirins and things like that. And they passed away, but they passed away. I could see that it was coming on, and in a few days they were gone. Their body just pooped out. They didn't suffer. They weren't in pain. They were not uncomfortable. They just went. But that's what a great lifestyle up until that point got them to. And now I know in the next decade or so, I'm going to see my patients who are 100 years old, who are going to do the same exact thing that will allow them to make it to the end of life, not suffer at the end of life, have good choices at the end of life, and look back and say, I did everything correct. But that was because they made a decision, decades before, to have that good lifestyle.
Absolutely. So that there's a lot of points to what you just said. So what if most of this audience are seniors. This is the senior hour. I would imagine that's your target audience. So they're at various stages of that. Does it matter at 70, at 80 to start making these changes? What are your feelings on this?
I have seen many individuals who 60s, 70s, and even in their 80s who have said, I'm taking this and changing the way I'm going to do things. Even stopping their drinking and their smoking. They have done that and changed everything in their life for the next 2 decades.
By that way, that's the number 3 cause of problems.
And this is
alcohol?
Absolutely known stressful behaviors, smoking, drinking, those kind of things. Substance abuse. Those kind of things that we know there are no redeeming value to. Like I don't care what studies come out that say that, if smoking isn't so bad, or all that stuff was gone 10 years ago.
Smoking is bad.
Yeah, there's no redeeming value to it whatsoever. It's all bad. There's nothing good about it. Now, there are still some lingering studies about alcohol saying that, up to a half an ounce of alcohol a day, which is about 3 ounces of red wine, may actually be good for your liver. 3 ounces of red wine per day, but most people that's like one finger in a wine glass. 1 finger high in a wine glass may actually benefit your liver because of some of the chemical pathways. It's a cleansing agent, so to speak, but anything in excess of that is absolutely causing some problems. So there were studies out there just as recently as a few years ago that said a couple of glasses of red wine a day was actually good for your heart or for whatever, and they were absolutely manipulated studies. You take one point that you want to make, and then you make all the facts fit into it.
Napa Valley, I think, funded the study, right?
So it's interesting how these things come out and make the headlines, because most of these breaking news headlines about health are more marketing than they are science, 9 times out of 10, because you find out anywhere from I know immediately when it's BS. I just know this does not add up.
But it's every day, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
Breakthrough.
Absolutely.
You'll live longer. Take this.
There's no way that this could be true, but most people don't. They just see it's on the news. It's the medical coordinator for that program is saying with absolute authority that this new discovery is going to cure cancer or heart disease or whatever, and
But you know what?
Yeah.
Down in the fine print, may cause such and such.
No. You're talking about a commercial. I'm talking about headline news. I'm talking about now it's embedded in mainstream media. They don't have to make those disclaimers when it's a news story.
But they make it seem like it's a news story when in reality it's their propaganda.
It's an advertisement.
And they couldn't say those possible side effects. They'd get thrown off the air.
Right.
They couldn't do that.
Yeah. So you can get away with a lot more when it's a news story than you can when it's an outright commercial. And so a lot of the commercials have shifted to headline news stories. It's more important for them to buy that news story and pay for that news story than it is to buy the ad time, because they think some of the defenses are down and they don't have to jump through all the legal mumbo jumbo at the end of the commercial.
Right. But alcohol, I think there's an acceptable amount, which is fine, but nobody knows where that limit is. So just minimize the amount that you have. But smoking is a different story. There's nothing redeeming. But the thing is, we have Proposition 64 coming up in November with marijuana, but a lot of people smoke marijuana. And, the LA Times had an editorial the other day, and people were writing in and, giving their anecdotal results, and somebody said, it's never caused lung cancer. Well, I don't know I haven't seen the evidence either, but the fact is it's going to cause something.
Right.
So when you inhale something that's at one end is really hot into your lungs, it's going to heat your lungs up too and the tissue there. So, and we've talked on this show many a times about cannabis and marijuana derivatives, but one way people get it is through smoking. And I just have to say right now, if you think in the future you're going to be using marijuana medicinally or recreationally, find a better way than just smoking
edibles,
it.
Smoking,
edibles.
yeah. Absolutely.
Edibles are fine. Tinctures are fine.
Yes.
And you don't, again, this is a whole show. We've done several shows on this. There's a big push right now for the legalization of marijuana.
Recreational.
So
yes.
it no longer needs a medical prescription in order to purchase. Pretty sure this is going to go through. So there's maybe some benefit to that. Maybe there's some danger to that. I am not an advocate of medical marijuana. I know you are, Barbara. I know it's helped you tremendously.
Oh, yes.
I am certainly not an advocate of recreational marijuana at all.
Absolutely. I'm not either. Absolutely
However,
not.
all of the other cannabinoids, all of the other chemicals in marijuana, besides THC, THC is the one chemical in marijuana that gives you that stoned, euphoric, high.
High. That's right.
That's one of over 150 other chemicals, similar chemicals called cannabinoids. That's the one that is controversial, and that's the one that has all the debate and has for the past 100 years about whether it should be legal, shouldn't be legal, should be allowed, shouldn't be allowed, should be medically allowed, should not be, should be recreational allowed, should not be. I don't care about that one at all. In fact, I'm not a fan of it at all. A lot of the people who are proponents of this new legalization, who have been proponents of medical prescription marijuana for the past, how long has California had it now? For 20 years or 30 years or whatever. A lot of the proponents say that the THC component is absolutely necessary in order to derive any medicinal value from it. Solely, I believe, because it keeps the control factor in the hands of the medical prescription. However, all the research from around the world that I've looked at say that all of the other cannabinoids have at least the same medicinal value, if not much greater medicinal value, so without any of
Without
the THC, without THC at all. So you immediately eliminate all of the controversy. All of
That's
it,
right.
just by eliminating that one factor. And that's what I work with in my office with my patients. The CBD as a pure substance, and also the mixed cannabinoids, barring THC, because that is still a controlled substance and probably will be until November. And I have no value for the THC at all. I know some people feel it is absolutely necessary in order to get the full benefit. That has not been my experience or any of my patients' experience.
But those CBD pills that I took did not have the THC in it.
Right.
And they controlled the pain I had.
Absolutely. It is one of the most powerful natural pain relief substances there is. There is CBD in mother's milk. There are receptors for CBD in every cell in your body. You are hardwired for CBD, and we would normally get it in very small amounts through our diet if we were eating lots of leafy green vegetables, but most of us aren't anymore. So instead of trying to eat bushels of leafy green vegetables and getting a microscopic amount of it in our normal diet, you can go to the source, which is the cannabinoid family, which is hemp, which has no THC. It's bred, the THC has been bred out of it for thousands of years, and there's no THC in it. Or you can extract it from marijuana and have to get rid of the THC in the processing. The type that is extracted from medical marijuana, even though it supposedly doesn't have any THC, you still need a prescription for. The type that is derived from hemp, because they know that there can't be any THC in it, you don't need a prescription for, and it's readily available, and I carry it in my office.
Yeah.
See, the difficulty right now in our society is with marijuana being a Schedule I medication. We cannot do appropriate research on it.
In this country.
In this country. So we're getting research from around the world, which is good, but we do good research here too, and it
Sure.
would open the doors to a better understanding, especially those doctors who really don't know about it at all right now. Just like chiropractics, there are many doctors that just have no concept of cannabis and marijuana, and of course are against it. Now we know that we have a huge epidemic here in the United States of opioids.
Absolutely.
And there's this gap between over-the-counter aspirin and Tylenol versus the opioids that are given as prescriptions. But the opioids are addicting, and the doctors
Deadly.
are just deadly, and they're handing up. But it's epidemic where people are dying.
Absolutely.
In between is now this group of medications that we need to change it from Schedule I to 2 or 3 so we can do the research on it and appropriately treat the people in this country without the huge risk of overdose.
Yeah, there
That's
is no
right.
risk of overdose with any cannabinoid.
And addiction.
And it's amazing.
Well, there's some people who would disagree with the
Yeah.
addiction component of THC. I don't know.
But the CBD.
The CBD, no. There's no addiction factor with the CBD. I believe any substance, even if it's healthy, can be abused and misused.
true.
And
the-
psychologically addicting.
Absolutely,
Yeah, but
absolutely. But there's no toxicity with CBD.
No.
There is no known toxic level of it. You could drink a gallon of it and it would not be toxic on your system. Because it doesn't mess with the main detoxification pathway, cytochrome P450. It does not occupy that slot at all. THC does, however. THC will bind up that site and really mess with detoxification. So there's going to be drug interactions, there's going to be detoxification interactions, and there are going to be problems when THC hits the market in full force. And that is going to give the fuel to all the people who were against it in the first place. Oh, see, we told you that there were going to be problems.
That's right. Well, it's amazing to me that so many doctors have not opened their eyes and done the research on the cannabinoid part of the plant, because it grows in the ground naturally. And it's amazing that, like I said, doctors really don't know about it.
Right. Well, most drugs started off as plants. They've been synthesized later from petrochemicals, but most of the drugs we know about have their origins in herbal medicine.
It's amazing. Well, we still haven't gotten all 10.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to.
Well, maybe we'll do 5.
Okay.
Okay? We've gone 3.
All right.
A mad rush at the end.
Yes. We need to take a little break. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Thomas Pilecki, and you are going to give us 10 reasons why of causes of kidney failure.
Yeah.
And we've done 3.
Yeah, it's become a real issue. Dialysis clinics are opening up all over the place. We can't keep up with it. It's a growing problem in the country, and largely due to lifestyle is the number one. There's so many variations of lifestyle, things like obesity, things like inadequate nutrition, things like chronic dehydration. Easy enough to drink more water every day and pay attention to what you're eating, how you feel an hour after you've eaten something, whether you have more energy, less energy, whether you feel more focused mentally, more emotionally stable or not. And if you're feeling that you just ate something and you want to take a nap and you're feeling yucky, you feel pain in your joints or something like that an hour later, that is a big red flag, because another one of these main contributing factors is chronic inflammation. And how do we deal with chronic inflammation in this country? Well, it's an aspirin a day keeps the doctor away, or I only need to take 2 of these instead of taking 6 of these for all-day relief from my symptoms. Well, guess what? That kills your kidneys.
Non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, they call it.
Absolutely
anti-inflammatories, but they
right here on the list.
They mess your kidneys up.
They will absolutely destroy your kidneys. Long-term prescription use of over-the-counter drugs is right up there. So yeah, there are lifestyle choices that we all make on every single day, and most people don't want to think about it. That is the real issue. You don't want to think about your health. And the problem with not thinking about your health, thinking about, is this good for me or is this bad for me? What is the ultimate outcome of what I'm doing right now? People don't want to think in those terms. It actually will get in the way of them having a good time or doing what they want and thinking there are no consequences. But this is the difference between being in a position where 2 HMO doctors are signing off on your death warrant because it's too expensive for the hospital to keep you alive another day, and it's cheaper for them just to pull the plug, which is actually the way things are done now in hospitals.
Yeah.
When you get to a certain point where your insurance company is no longer going to pay for your care, your life-sustaining care. So thinking that, there are no consequences to my action and there is a system to take care of me regardless of the way that I live my life, is being proven to be the worst possible strategy that you can kid yourself into believing is real. The option is start taking your health as a priority. There is no investment that has a higher return on investment than investing in your health. And the current Surgeon General did an extensive study in the workplace, 12-to-1 return on investment. Try to get that from any stock, any bond, anything out there right now. Besides, you go into a casino with Barbara, because she can turn your money around pretty quickly. But outside of that, getting a 12-to-1 return on investment doesn't happen anywhere except in your health. And I am uniquely qualified to make that happen for my patients.
So here at the very end, we just have a few minutes, but the lifestyle changes that our listeners and we have talked about, let's reiterate them. Let's go through
You can make it
them.
as easy as possible. 1, drink more water every day.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated. Number 2, pay attention to how food is affecting you, because everybody under the sun has an opinion about what eating right means. So I'm not even going to get into that.
But watch your weight, watch your diet.
Watch your weight, watch your diet. Pay attention to how you feel after you've eaten something, and that is probably the best nutritional advice you're ever going to get. You need to sweat for a minimum of 20 minutes every day doing activities, or a maximum of 40 minutes doing activities. The sweet spot is somewhere between 20 and 40 minutes of moderately strenuous exercise that causes you to sweat every single day. As long as you hit that sweet spot between 20 and 40 minutes every day, you're going to be in good shape. And as far as I'm concerned, the most important thing you can do to make sure that your chemical balance, your hormonal balance, your connective tissue balance, your structural balance, your actual physical ability is kept at the highest level that you are capable of, is to see someone like me who is trained in structural mechanics of the body and rehabilitation of those things that keep everything lined up and moving smoothly.
But the last thing that you also provide is stress management.
Absolutely.
That is so important, I think, that in our hectic lives every day, with the stresses that our seniors have, not just with their physical well-being, but their financial well-being, their emotional well-being, with their relationships and their loved ones, and it impacts them.
Absolutely.
And stress is a big factor that needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, often get complimented on what all people have to do is walk through the front door of my office, and they immediately feel the stress start working out of their body before they even see me. So yes, those factors are all incorporated into the whole experience at my office.
Is your front door painted red? Little feng shui there.
We do have a red wall. Yes, we do.
Tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you and find that front door.
753-9340. If you have government issue Medicare, your care is covered in my office. I have to say that unfortunately the HMOs, regardless of what they tell you, there is no coverage. So if you have real Medicare, government issue Medicare, your care is covered in my office. If it's some variation of that, FACI, Kaiser, Scan, something like that, there is no coverage. But we do work with those people on a cash basis. It is very reasonable, and you should at least get evaluated.
Well,
I would absolutely agree.
And from experience, you say that, Barb. And
yes.
Our listeners, I think, have gotten a wealth of information as usual from you, Dr. Halaby. And I'm just hoping that they understand the need and necessity to follow up with someone like you who's providing the kind of care that will allow them to live longer, but also with that quality of life.
Thank you.
So we appreciate your being on the show as usual.
Thank you.
And once again, just a great time and understanding, allowing our listeners to get benefit from all the things that you are offering us here in this community. Thank you very much. We are sponsored by Advanced Audiology and SCV In-Home Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.